thing is going to devastate tourism in Mexico for years to come. Nobody's going to want to go.
I mean, they're having the World Cup. I think, in my opinion, dude, I think Trump has got this on lock. I think he's got I think they're going to clean this up before the World Cup. Watch. I bet you. The World Cup is in June. I have a feeling this is going to be handled, man. I don't think Trump would go into this blindly. And now that the Mexican military...
Okay, we didn't start yet, Nino. Can you...
Okay. Wait. JP can't come. He has a VA appointment, and I double-checked with him, and I just heard his message, so it's just us.
Okay, that's very convenient. Okay, that's fine. Such is life. Okay, so they made sure he had a VA appointment. That's interesting. Okay, so everyone's ready?
Yeah.
Okay, going live. Just pray this works. Never know with this fucking thing. Looking good. Oh, awesome. Okay. Of course, there's a garbage truck right outside my window right now. That's par for the course. Hey, we are live. Okay, so welcome everyone. Hopefully I can be heard, and I've got somebody who's supposed to be monitoring our beginning to make sure nothing crazy goes on. We've got a really illustrious and dangerous crew, I've got to say, on board today. And very unfortunately, JP suddenly got an appointment at the last minute. He'll probably kill me for saying this. I think that was very convenient. Maybe they were afraid he was just not able to, handle these heavy hitters, but I thought he could. Anyway, whatever it is. So we're all about disclosure, telling the truth, nothing but the truth, as far as I'm concerned. And I hope you guys will join me in that. And what I'd like to do is go around the circle and just everyone do a quick introduction of yourself. Most people know who you are. You're very well known on the alternative circuit, at least, and so it does. You don't have to go into a lot of detail, and then we'll just launch into the topic. Okay.
Okay.
I see nods. Okay. Okay. Good. All right. So let's go around the circle. Laura first.
Well, it's wonderful to be here with all of you. My goodness, thank you so much for having me be a part of this. I'm Laura Eisenhower. I'm a researcher and author. I've been a public speaker since 2010. My great-grandfather is President Eisenhower, so I've been really going deep into particularly that administration in relation to disclosure and timelines and military-industrial complex and what we're up against right now. So, and larger picture galactic history, focusing on planetary grids particularly. So, yeah, great to be here.
Okay, and you've got a few books out there, right?
Yeah, my most recent, one book, and another one coming, Awakening the Truth Frequency, and because that frequency will collapse the control grids, and that's what's happening, so.
Very good. Okay, Michael Jaco, you're next. I think you're muted. Michael? Okay, let's see.
SEAL Team 6, 24 years with the SEAL teams, 11 years with CIA, did a lot of work with finding terrorists and so forth, deep state stuff, and so I'm ready to take them down, and I know this show is going to help that. So the, secret space program involved in that as well, so lots of good stuff.
Okay, short and sweet. Brad Olson.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Kerry. Good to see you again. Thanks for having me on this panel with such an illustrious crew of panelists. I'm author myself, just came out with Secrets of Antarctica, The Untold History of the Ice Continent, which has a lot to do with disclosure. And I've often said on a lot of my interviews, we could see disclosure coming out from Antarctica. I'm also a book publisher of Michael Jaco's 2 books and Laura Eisenhower's 1 book, and maybe David Nino Rodriguez's first book. We're in talks.
Second book.
Second book, all right.
Okay, did you say I have 3 books? You did say that, right?
Kerry has 3 books, yes.
Okay, sorry, no. I'm just messing with you. Okay, so is that it, Brad? Did you want to say anything else?
Short and sweet.
Okay, very good. Scott McKay, go. You're muted. I'm not sure how this is happening.
Yeah, I just noticed that. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, I'm Scott McKay. Most people that watch my audience knows the Patriot Street Fighter podcast. It's a self-described rolling shitstorm on the political class in the country from the top to the bottom. They're all criminals. It's now proving out 6 years later when I started out to the world, look, the people that are part of the political class in this country, state, federal, local, they're either liars, thieves, or killers, or they're a combination, or they're all the above. Humanity has been living a life of wreckage because of what they've done to the world, and all the problems we have in the world is directly because of the political class. And there are 2 parties in the world, them against us. And I've been trying to get that narrative in people's minds to understand the only people that save us is us. It's not Jesus. It's not somebody coming down. It's not a politician. It's not media. It's not Hollywood entertainers. We, the people, are the ones who have to rise to take our country back, reinstall the republic, and then we start with the rest of the world.
Awesome. Okay. And Nino Rodriguez, last but not least.
Just podcaster David Nino Rodriguez, Nino's Corner.tv. I just try to reveal the truth there one step at a time.
Okay.
There we go.
And I'm Kerry Cassidy, investigative journalist, author, producer, movie maker, and who knows what else. Anything I can do to get in the most trouble I possibly can. And so thank you, everyone, for coming to this wonderful broadcast. I'm very excited to have these amazing people with me. And so what we're talking about here is a potential. I'm not going to say it's definitely happening because anything goes these days, but Trump is supposedly going to come and make some announcement acknowledging alien presence on the planet, and we call that disclosure. You can call it whatever you want. You might call it disruption. You might call it a whole new world if you can handle it, to quote Colonel Corso. But the bottom line is that this has been the reality behind the scenes forever. Okay, so it didn't just start even 80 years ago. We've got 80 years of real secrecy in the United States, no doubt, but we've definitely got secrecy around the planet that has been ongoing since we came here, and everyone has different points of view on that. But let me just say that this, the floor is open to start any topics you like and to touch on whatever you think is related. It's all about finding out who we are, what we're doing on the planet, and how not to do the destructive stuff, how to do some more wonderful things for humanity, and to break away from this slave planet mentality and control and the controllers. So from that point on, who wants to go first? Anyone particular, like driving, feeling a driving need to start?
Well, Trump's starting with the State of the Union today, right? So it's going to be interesting what he says in there. I think the disclosure will come from Trump. I think he wants to own that. I think he wants to take it away from the deep state, right? And I think that's it's a strategy. So I think it's going to be interesting. And I know a lot of you are going to say both here, but it's going to be interesting to see what he says. If he says extraterrestrial or interdimensional or both, I think it has a lot of meaning on the way he's going to address this and the way he's going to put it out there. So we'd like to know everyone's thoughts on that, because I feel this is more spiritual than anything. And the way he delivers it is going to be very important, because I do believe he's taking it away from the deep state playing card. I think it's a card they were going to use, and I think he's going to intercept it and use it to his ability.
Excellent. I just wanted to say this. A friend told me begin here. A few months ago, I wrote to Juan O'Savin via what is probably the NSA WhatsApp account that I have with him, and I just started ranting about the fact that that the white hat military could have owned disclosure, that they should be running with it, that it would help Trump win the midterms, et cetera. And I just ranted. And then here we are. So I like to think perhaps I had an influence, maybe not. Maybe it was on the agenda the whole time, the plan. But I just want to say that because it was kind of fun when I started hearing this coming forward after I had written that to him. So maybe I was just tapping into a future event, which I have a tendency to do anyway, but for what it's worth. Anyone else want to jump on this topic of really the white hat military, that Trump is their front man? I see you got something up in front here. Brad, do you want to go?
Yeah, this is the tweet I think we're all aware of last week. President Trump, I'll just read it. Based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP, and unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America. To me, that is one of the most explosive tweets I've ever seen come from him, who's known to send out explosive tweets. But this could be world-changing. And like I said, Nino, if he brings this up tonight at the State of the Union, here we go.
Well, that was almost that was like disclosure in itself, really.
It was. No president's ever said that.
Yeah. No, I mean he's acknowledging it. So there we go. That I mean, to me, that's enough. That's all we really need.
So it seems to be coming, like you're talking about, Kerry, from we the people. So the pressure, just like with the Epstein files, we said, hey, get this out there. We want this. And a lot of pressure. And now we're getting the Epstein file stuff released. I think it's going to be the same thing. We're going to get a little slow drip, drip, drip with the disclosure like we've been getting. But I think it's going to come a little bit faster with President Trump, hopefully. And then we'll start to get it, really, really coming out because we want it and we're pressuring it. Now, there's been disclosure. All of us have been disclosing for a long time. So it won't be anything new, maybe, but maybe it will be. And I hope that we will see some very incredible revelations that come through that will maybe even shock us. So, we see Sodom and Gomorrah, fallen, angels came down and the people of the city wanted to have sex with them, and they're like, blinded them. And then they take Lot and his family up to the mountains, and there's a big flash. His wife comes out, gets, turned into salt. And today we have, evidence that at the end or the southern end of the Dead Sea is high nuclear fallout there. So they blew it up. So, there's been this stuff going on for a long time, so even in the Bible, many, many different cases.
Yeah.
I'll throw out there, you have watched Trump the last, 10 years now, and he's absolutely a master at walking people into traps, like over and over and over. I mean, the Epstein file thing was a remarkable masterstroke. I mean, I sit back and I listen to people that are getting pissed. Hey, where are these? Think about it. He's talking during the election. Where's the list? Where's the Epstein list? You need to release it, blah, blah, blah. He gets in position of power. His people aren't releasing it. And he says, there's nothing there. There's no list. We need to just move on. What happens? Well, you got us and the left, the lunatic liberals screaming. Well, he doesn't want him out now because he's in there. That's why he's hiding. So what do? He gets the people that he wants to obviously be exposed going after the Epstein files. And you have the left screaming, the Democrats in Congress. Well, guess what? Then they just, boom, here they are. So what are these people doing? We know he's got something to hide. We're climbing through millions of pages. We're going to find it. What they're finding is, his name's in there because he was an FBI informant, number one. Number two, oh my God, look at our people. They're doing this sick, sadistic, horrible shit. Right? So it gives a chance. It gives the time to build to turn that tide. So I'm looking at this whole they're coming out with UFO thing. They're going to disclose that. All that does is a distraction away from the Epstein files. You say, now, why would he do that? The other side might. Why would Trump do it? I'm like, okay, what's the strategy here? Bring that out, put it out in the open, and all the people that are culpable in the Epstein files, my opinion, they're setting them up to see who runs the hardest and the fastest for two reasons. Number one, screaming, UFOs, UFOs. Look at these guys over here going nuts about UFOs, right? That's because they're in the Epstein files. They want this is our chance. Let's get them going down this track. No, leave us alone. Number one, smoking them out that way. And the second thing that he's remarkably done every single time is exactly that. Puts them in the spotlight because the world don't know who many of these people are, but now they're out in the media screaming, UFO, UFO, we want to know the rest. Oh, who's that person? Oh, that's so-and-so. There's a personal relationship with American people and the characters that are on TV, and we see them a number of times, oh, I know who they are. Then you find out down the road, oh, this guy's a child-killing pedophile. And I remember him, So I'm wondering, is this a strategy to muddy the water, the Epstein files, with Trump himself saying, hey, we're going to talk about aliens and UFOs. I don't see it as throwing sand in the gears of this narrative that's now emerging everywhere with everybody. So I'm wondering, is there a strategy here for this out at this time, at the State of the Union? Why now? We got bigger fish to fry, and that's the pedo killers on the planet. I'm saying there's a strategy here if he does that.
Yeah, and it's interesting also, it was after Obama said what he said, and his sort of response to it is, oh, he's in big trouble now. This is national security breach or whatever. And now I'm going to talk about it because the public's interested or ready for it. And, I find that all, somewhat interesting. And I just know we have to peel back the layers. It's like being told a weather event's going to happen, but you have people that are meteorologists and people that have been studying this for a long time. And I agree with, David, that that's all that needs to be said. I mean, these conversations have been happening. Between all of us, we have a lot of dot connecting that we've been doing and that we'll continue to do. And because of compartmentalism, because of 30 levels of top secret above the president, events that happened after 1952 and after World War II, we have to understand so much of the false disclosure narratives. I was talking to John D'Souza yesterday, and he was saying, and what, you guys, some of you have mentioned in agreement to, that Trump is going to keep this from the false disclosure narrative. It doesn't mean he's necessarily going to disclose everything. There's ultra and blue moon units as a part of the NSA that the CIA doesn't even know about that has their hands on the alien technology. There are so many layers and disclosure narratives that have been steered since the 50s, grooming humanity through movies, through different disclosure storylines, and different interpretations of what's been going on to keep this somewhat fringe or like on X-Files or like whatever. And now that it's all coming out, I think the priority is to listen to the victims and experiencers and measure it against their stories, our own discernment, spiritual discernment, multidimensional awareness of what these times represent, because literally on an astrological level, the rings of Saturn and everything about dark Saturn is dissolving. The planetary grids that were put in reversal with dark technology that were the harvesting and siphoning mechanisms behind blood rituals, trafficking, pedophilia, and all this kind of stuff, has to come with the disclosure so that the Epstein isn't compartmentalized away and disclosure is a whole other topic and conversation. All of it has to be dot connected. These doorways of compartmentalism have to fall away. So I think, disclosure has to be, and I feel like Trump is the president for this, community building, us empowering one another, the government structure collapsing because more humans are stepping up to more of a leadership role. We all have, and there are many leaders that are leading by example. But where does this hit us in our life? Because it's not a one-way conversation. This has to be something that not just some whistleblowers are going to measure against the files being released. And we have to make sure, are these all the files? If there's 30 levels of top secret that were put above the president, what doorways have not been opened for the full disclosure? And I think there has to be more panels, more expertise. Trump has to call upon people that have been talking about this for a while, authors, researchers, contactees, experiencers, and victims of child trafficking. And this has to snowball. And it has to be a global event, not just a governmental, because I feel he's in a position to help collapse the governmental structure that's been based in mind control. Multiple swamps have to be drained because the pillars of society have all been infiltrated. And, everything of dot connecting between the most nefarious and darkest of negative alien agendas, demonics, all the way up to the guardian forces, source energy, and our true divine blueprint have to be out on the table. Or else, it is just a drip, drip, drip. But the thing is, that's for the pace of the people that aren't ready for the full disclosure. Because if they really wanted the full disclosure, they'd be watching shows like this. So the thing is, it's all there. And I think it's kind of like choose your own adventure. What are you ready for? And the files will reveal only so much. We're the living library, though. We have experiences that will never show up in a file. So hopefully these conversations will expand to the masses way more.
Nice tour de force, Laura. So, Nino, did you want to weigh in? Because I can't remember. I know we started with you, but I want to give you a chance.
I'm just going to bring something to everyone's attention. I think right now is the year of action, the year of disclosure, the year of exposing. Got the Jeffrey Epstein files coming out, lots of names in there. I think there's going to be another batch that gets disclosed. But I'm kind of confused on the strategy in this. I mean, I know that Scott brought this up, but I'm trying to think, does he release everything at once or does he take steps in this? Because right now everyone's chomping at the bits on the Epstein stuff. And then I think he rolls in, and right now we're taking out the henchmen, the cartels in Mexico. We're delivering massive blows there. I got a feeling that there's going to be extraction teams going in there to remove tourists. The cartels are not going to back down. And this is, the cartels and the Hezbollah, Hamas, all of them are going to work together for some kind of strike event in America when I believe the arrests happen. I think that's what they're waiting for, to distract everybody, right? So I know right now it looks like the operation is in full gear to go into Mexico and take down those henchmen, those cartels. I'm thinking, when do you throw the disclosure card? Is it going to be at the State of the Union tonight, or does this happen a little bit further down the line so everyone can focus on that? See, what I'm saying is I think they need to absorb and digest the Epstein stuff first.
Okay, let me just stop you right there. Camelot was told at the very beginning that when this stuff happened, when disclosure, when the financial thing crashed, all that it's all going to happen at once. The plan is for it all to happen. Nobody's digesting here, okay?
Right.
It's not going to be like that. It's going to be
just
blow, blow, blow. Yes, and the earth changes will start. Next, I'm sorry to get a little excited here.
But just buckle up. I mean, I get it that way too.
No, I have to say, and that's what I've also seen in my sort of precog dreams and such. But I want to see one thing so that you guys maybe think about this deeply. The fact is, Epstein is directly linked. Child pedophile, human trafficking is directly linked to Baal, the worship of Baal, evil, blood sacrifice. It all went back to the Anunnaki and to be even before that in human society. It's infested every part of our life. It's certainly in Hollywood, certainly in the elites. Epstein just brings the focus down to this actually place where people can, go through documents, okay? But a lot of this information is already out there. These societies have been run by pedophiles, okay? These people feed on other humans. That's what's going on. This goes back to the alien situation. It's dead on, and it's beautiful that you start with something people can actually, think that they are an agent. But the reality, you probably didn't read my article, but nonetheless, it's all about awakening, enlightenment, and realizing what has to happen on this earth. And, the White Hats had to go there before they put their whole plan together. They had to know that's where it ends up. It ends up with the aliens. That's where it's at, because we are being ruled by aliens who are eating us, who are taking slaves off planet on a regular basis. If you read my Mark Richards books, there's 2 of them. He talks about this endlessly in those books. So I'll just stop here, but I just want you to know that when you think it's a distraction, you are wrong. Epstein is the distraction. Epstein is the signpost on the road that is pointing exactly to the alien situation.
Okay, so I was under the impression the deep state was going to use it for their distraction to take away focus.
Both sides are using it. That's what's happening. That's actually the name of the game right now. As Juan says a million times, they do something, we do something. It's a back and forth. But in the end of the day, somebody has to win, okay? You can't just have like this, I don't know what you want to call it, volleyball game going on endlessly, okay, which has been going on Earth, pushing this thing back and forth, secrecy, then openness, secrecy, then openness. We have to have openness in order for people to be able to, one, defend their children. Okay, these children are not defended because the parents are falling down at their job, because they are lying to themselves and in self-denial about the reality of the situation. Everyone, every institution is hiding the alien trafficking side of things, and has been doing it forever. Forever. Yes. That was the big secret. They live on blood sacrifice.
Yeah,
children mainly.
They definitely need to be taken down. And now we obviously are at the point where that can happen. So President Trump has really, like we all talk about, he's got great big cojones. And this is huge because obviously, they can really hammer us. And they, we saw the fall of Atlantis. That's probably what they did. They hammered us because we were getting too big for our britches. So now we're getting big britches again, but now they haven't had the ability to hammer us. So obviously we've reached a stage where we can push back on them so that they can't do this. So this is a massive hammer blow to the control system that's been dominating us for, thousands of years.
Yeah, I mean, the Sons of Belial and the Black Sons manipulated DNA in order for even these nefarious groups to not be able to heal, and be able to stop this sort of parasitic, vampiric control system. And the thing is, when something vampiric comes to the light, we see what happens with vampires. Their skin begins to burn. They operate in tunnels. They operate to supplement what children and innocence and spiritual energy gives them, kundalini, everything. This is their survival. It's not so much that they want to take us out. This is how they only know how to stay alive. And they blackmailed and coerced and manipulated and groomed, children to be the handlers and to be the perpetrators. And so as a society, we have to nip it in the bud by, like you were saying, this is right next to our children in classrooms. This is underground. This is underneath our feet. These are police officers that are going to rituals. This is like in our neighborhood. This is right down the road in your towns, in the cities. It's not just something over there or something over there. This is right under our noses at all times. So there has to be vigilance and, calling this out, because if we don't get it when they're children, they become the adults that are the perpetrators that are carrying this on. And then all those that are blackmailed and scared shitless to come forward. So I know, Brad, you were going to say something, but I just wanted to add that each town, and like as far as stepping up to the plate and taking on that leadership role, is how can we spot this? There's trafficking signs that you see in the bathroom at an airport. This needs to be at our schools. There needs to be education. There needs to be people that come in instead of the trannies. For the celebrate the whatever thing that they do. It's to have like real speakers coming in. These are the signs, right? They teach sex education. They teach about drugs. These are the signs of what we need to look out for, because teachers aren't even handling bullies, let alone being able to notice if somebody's being trafficked or taken down into tunnels. I mean, this is
okay, but we had a whole release of priests, that are violating children. That was a while ago. The Franklin story, et cetera, and we're not. Back into secrecy. So it's our job, I believe, to keep this front and center. Nobody's going to come say this is a distraction. This is the story, okay? Is saving our children on earth. Hello, okay? And that's got to be done. Michael Aquino, the military is infested with black magicians who have joined the ball conspiracy, okay? This is everywhere, in every walk of life, in every institution. Okay, I'm sorry to get so emphatic, but really, Laura's right. We have to absolutely focus on this. And it's not going to be not even 1 million emails. It's going to be a zillion stories around the world. How children are trafficked in Thailand and Indonesia and you name it. Brad, go ahead.
Yeah, and if we're talking about presidential disclosure, look, they've been trying to do this since Dwight D. Eisenhower, and him and Kennedy, maybe the last presidents who were really debriefed on it, because remember Jimmy Carter, he famously said when he was governor, he saw a UFO, and one of his platform talking points is he would be the disclosure president. And the story goes that when he had his first meeting with the CIA, that he came out of it flustered, and some of his staffers said it looked like he had started to cry. So this is how deep it goes, because if they tell them what we're talking about here with the children and abductions and adrenochrome, I mean, that would scare the pants off of any president. There was a question with John Lear on Art Bell many years ago. It was called Take the John Lear Test. And that was John Lear proposed to Art Bell, okay, you're the president. I'm coming in and I'm giving you all the data to give to the American public. Would you do it? And Art Bell says, I wouldn't want to be that president that does it. So this is a big move.
You know the old story? You're president, they bring you in a conference room, they sit you down, they show you the Kennedy assassination, and they say, any questions?
Exactly.
That's it. That's been the name of the game.
I love when they did
Countermeasures had to be
Kennedy,
put in
right?
place.
He was going to disclose.
Well, Eisenhower had to do a lot covertly and put in countermeasures because it was signed into law that this was not to be touched. You couldn't speak about it. I mean, that's why Val Thor came in to assist. And this was all starting in 1929, this abduction scenario that they've only talked about starting in 1954 when he actually tried to invade Area 51 and he tried to take out the Greys in Dulce. It's like, we don't hear about that. And then Kennedy, like you're saying. So the president we're dealing in shadow government, the shadow government. Everything else on the surface, their hands are pretty much tied. Mm-hmm. But this administration is different, definitely, because the three-letter organizations grooming people in public positions, the alters that are activated, the Manchurian candidates, I mean, they're everywhere, and how they're a part of that network. So anyway, I'll shut up, but just wanted to say that.
Well, do you all believe that the deep state disclosure was going to bring in the Antichrist and bring in that kind of agenda? I mean, do you think that's why Trump is getting ahead of this?
Maybe Project Bluebeam.
Yeah, I mean, they were getting ready to do something, right? So I know Trump's getting ahead of it.
Yes, but you got to, listen to Hillary. Is it time for the alien card?
There
sure.
You go.
But the deep state has always wanted to do it, but they wanted to do it where they stay in charge. You got to keep that in mind. So Randy Kramer went on stage in Yelm, Washington, that area. I was at the conference. The footage disappeared. But basically, I said, how are you going to do a fake alien invasion when the real ones are already here? And they are, okay? Bob Dean said years ago, the Anunnaki are walking the halls of the Pentagon, right? So it's been out there, okay? The Tall Whites, Charles Hall, they're in Nevada, in secret bases. And they're not who people think they are. They don't work with the Nazis. They're not Nazis. So don't get your sort of races mixed up. We're talking about a disclosure of so many different agendas, different races. Every race is like every human. You have your own agenda. You have, you have good side and bad side, and they're either working for us or against us in the end of the day. And we have to deal with that. Okay, this is the bottom line. The bottom line is when you get to disclosure of the alien thing, that we have others all over the galaxies that are some like us and some not even close to like us. Spider beings, you name it. I mean, 20 years of disclosure, I've been listening to these people tell me these stories. Military people that have nothing to gain by coming forward other than, in Bob Dean's case, His daughter supposedly committed suicide. I'm sure they killed her. In Clifford Stone's case, they killed his son in a motorcycle accident. This is what they do. They do payback on people that were read in and then went as whistleblowers, came forward as whistleblowers. I can name so many whistleblowers that have had untimely deaths, okay? So do not think they do this for any kind of publicity. It's hell on wheels when you're a whistleblower. And I think a lot of contactees would probably agree with me. So just want to bring that up.
So where does the Nephilim fit into all this and the fallen angel agenda? Does anybody even...
Yeah, they're the Anunnaki. It's the same word. It's just the same, another way of talking about that. They're hybrids, okay? They're human, alien hybrids, definitely Anunnaki hybrids, okay? So this, in fact, this whole story on the planet is all about hybridization. It started years and years ago. You can read the litany of the history, Ashana Dean books from the Guardian races, delineates out all the different visitations of races from around the galaxies that have come here. And many of them come here to take our genetics, to manipulate our genetics, to incorporate their genetics into ours. We are a melting pot, like much more than people even realize. And it behooves us to become more open.
Is it because they can't reproduce, or they just want our genetics to...
It's the name of the game in the galaxies, for whatever reason, and each race has its different reason. We know the gray human hybrid reason because they lost all emotion. They wanted our genetics that allowed them to bring back, in a sense, the water, the softness of the skin, etc. You see how they looked all fucking, drained out? Mm-hmm. That's the real ones. Those are the biological ones. A lot of them are fake. They're just little walking computers. We even build them. Okay, our military builds those.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fake alien invasion.
I mean,
abductions too. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, there's so much to the story, but the question is, I think, on the table here is, what will Trump bring forward, and will the population, just like we did with the Epstein files, demand more? Will they continue to demand more? Will they not be stopped by the horror, and it is a horror, of what they're going to have to face when the real disclosures, and we're going to keep doing our jobs, right? We're not going to stop, right? It's all going to keep coming out. There's not going to be a shutdown unless we allow it.
Well, it's sort of like understanding the difference between CGI and AI fake news. I mean, if there's a fake alien anything, John D'Souza was talking about blue beam and directed energy weapons being combined so that things will come out. We saw what happened with Lahaina and Paradise and directed energy weapons and geoengineering. So our discernment, being elemental beings, is to actually collapse the illusion and begin to see through it and not feed into it, which is exactly what they want, because they battery up artificial timelines with our energies that we allow and consent to by believing in the facades. And that, to me, is all crumbling. But
so Nephilim, red-haired giants, we've seen them throughout history. Brad and I are going to go to Lovelock Cave. We're going to go out there this weekend and go check that out. But they were 15-foot cannibalistic giants. So basically, Indians were like, "We're done with this," and they ganged up on them and smoked them out of their cave and annihilated them. That's more recent, but we have even more recent. We have the Kandahar giant, which Special Forces guys took out. I've heard about that. I had guys that told me about it. So it's a real thing. So another red-haired giant, Nephilim. Guys are
and the Smithsonian is hiding the giant skeletons, has been doing that for years and years. In other words, what we have to do is we're going to expose the people that have held the secrecy. I'm sorry, but that's true. That means the white hats are included, okay? They are going to get outed. Even things they don't want outed is going to come out. Because the bottom line, how many Trumps do you think there are out there? That's CGI. That's lies, okay? All right? How many Bidens were there? There were 5, at least according to Juan, right? This is what people don't realize and aren't talking about. a lot of people on the world stage, some of which have already gone off planet, okay, to other planets where we have actually colonized, all right, in preparation for these days, because they are not going to be able to escape, even in a disguise. Juan, hello? You're going to have to join the crew and come out, all right? It's all about that. I'm not kidding. I mean, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about deception everywhere we look, not just in, place over there in Israel, let's say.
JFK Jr. has lots of disguises. One is just one of his doubles, I think.
No, okay, well, I'm not going to go into all of that, but you hear what I'm saying. It's disclosure. Disclosure is truth. It's disclosure of truth. Let's get down to it, okay? It's not just disclosure of the alien presence. So when we learn more about ourselves, about our brothers and sisters out in space, about our perpetrators, that we are prey for certain races, if you're not teaching your child about this agenda, that has infested our schools did you hear that Nick Reiner just pleaded guilty to killing his parents? He didn't do it. It was a cabal. It was a coven. And I've even gotten names of the people that ran that coven. I'm not going to say because I don't want to get killed, but hello? This is the thing. This is down the street from me, okay, where I live. This shit is going on. It's been going on with the Franklin files back in, Illinois or wherever the hell. It's been going on in Canada. The Queen's involved. The royal family is beyond neck deep in this shit, okay? These are pedophiles and Satanists that you have and the world has been following and idolizing as if they're good people. They're horrible, horrible villains. All of them, the masks are coming off. Epstein is just the tip of the iceberg.
Kerry, I just had a thought talking about why now, why the timing, could this issue be a diversion away from the Epstein files? But if you think about this logically, the depravity that the world's going to be exposed to with where we currently are is we'll have people, especially the Christian community, is that they'll just want to go to their knees and pray for God to save us from all this through Jesus and do nothing. And I don't know which whistleblower it was, Secret Space Program whistleblower, said the biggest thing that's going to hit this planet when we actually have, organized live contact, for the nation to see or learn this reality of non-terrestrial benevolent, obviously, that we're not the only ones in the universe and all that kind of. That is what breaks the back of organized religion, shatters their narrative. Just like just as we know, back at how they believed once that the sun and everything revolved around the earth and humans, and I think it was Galileo said no, it's not true. Everything revolves around the sun, and they went down that track, tried to kill him for it or whatever. But there again, the religious order got caught with their pants down, snowing every July every 500 years. They got to redo the clock because their math didn't work out for their narrative on this particular aspect, and people just bought into it. But there's one thing that'll get people, I think, to snap out of it, is that we are not the only species. Now, many of us know that now, but you still have that rank and file Christian that believes we're the we're the apple of Creator's eye or whatever. But if we do not break that, where people realize nobody's coming to save you, Jesus isn't dropping his feet on the planet. He would have done it by now with the amount of kids that are being slaughtered.
Well, you know what? The truth shall set you free. He said one thing that's absolutely true, okay, that explains the whole fucking thing. The truth shall set you free. In a sense, he told you what would free you, what would free all of these people, and it wasn't religion. He was not into a church, okay? He was not into following anyone, okay? He said, look within. In the end of the day, some religions in certain facsimiles will wrap themselves around this story. The Vatican has wanted to own disclosure since the beginning. I have no idea how they've been shut up so far. I imagine it's because, the Pope is a fake and he's dead, and that place was run by reptilians anyway. I think the White Hats went in there early on. You know, you had to, I do want to say that we're actually still looking at a strategic process that has been stimulated as we started the discussion here today with Trump as the front man. Please, you know, because I'm talking to intel agents that are at the top of the food chain that want to blame Trump and call him a pedo. He's the opposite of that. But how did they do it? How did they use all the doubles? And how did they infiltrate the dark? That's what it's all about, is understanding this, and so that you can also learn from that, right?
So I think while we're all waiting for this disclosure and we're looking up at the stars and waiting for them to come visit us and the whole thing, we've already been infiltrated. We're already cooked, and it's called artificial intelligence. I think we're already cooked. We're already being taken over. It's already here. There's no bigger alien presence to me than artificial intelligence.
We're not taking over. We're actually rebelling and outing the game, okay, for once. This is showing the matrix. It's showing you the real matrix, okay? That's what matters. Truth and what's really going on. And if in the end of the day we find out that this whole shebang is nothing but AI, well, then that's what it is. You're still here. You're still in a body. You're still having an experience. I was going to say you're still an experiment. But regardless of how you classify it, if you know, you can't just give up the whole ship because you think, oh, it's AI. What is AI? You don't even understand what AI is. Okay, we don't even. I mean, Dr. Scott Perez, who I've had several times on my show, you should interview him, Nino. He's talking about plants have AI DNA. They can manipulate humans and plants using a computer because our DNA is manipulatable on a computer. This stuff goes way deep. It goes way into every aspect of science, all the lies we've been told. Scientists are the most completely disoriented, and they're going to be almost no help whatsoever going into the future unless they're coming from the future and they're thinking that way, because they're closed-minded to the nth degree, and I can say from recent experience that that's true.
Well,
so you're not going to look to leaders, okay?
I'd love to answer that real quick. I mean, I feel like AI has been around for a long time. I mean, people are taken over by social engineering, leaders, cults. I mean, people being assimilated into the group mind or a hive mind is not just technology. It's also the way that people are groomed, the way they're raised, the whole punishment reward system, and just massive infiltration on so many levels. And AI to me can move into divine intelligence, where we override the AI, where the Merkaba or the higher technologies of like the Eighth Force or the Guardians, has collapsed that sort of connection into something much greater. They never really were a part of that. Some are. And
I think you have to realize is, in the end of the day, AI is source. It comes from source. Source makes the light and the dark. Okay, you don't just throw source out and think AI dominates. It doesn't. Yeah,
I mean, then that's the thing. Like anything can dominate us, is my point. And when you don't allow your sovereignty to be given up to something outside yourself, which people do, whether it's AI, whether it's a leader, whether it's the governments or politics or anything, it can work with us. And I feel that the mothers of darkness and the architecture of the Illuminati and the reversal grid energy and everything about ritual and the darkness of AI is a weaponization of technology. And the use of technology to create social engineering is not using technology to beam out sound healing tones or something that could actually heal a person from the get-go. And I just think we're de-weaponizing it through doing the inner work and learning from Atlantis that we can advance technologically, but if we forget soul development, then we're repeating the same mistake. So, and I know you were, referring to that, Kerry, and I know all of you guys talk about this. And to me, it's like the integration of polarity. What is in reversal is collapsing when we override the dark technology with the override frequency, because it's been a frequency war. All the manipulations that are connected to the stuff that they put in our bodies, the stuff we've been inhaling from the chemtrails, everything is to put us in this inversion harvesting, system that AI can actually help us to get out of if we use it correctly. So we either are feeding the dark technologies and we're a part of it and that assimilation, or we collapse it, override it, and it begins to serve us from a place of command that isn't from control or negative ego, but from a sovereign, integrated, spiritual, divine embodiment that we came here to retrieve, I think.
Yeah, I think AI was involved with Jeffrey Epstein already, way back. And look at all the information that's involved there. All the video, all the emails, everything. Got to be something more. And I think Epstein has, he was probably dark, and he's come over to the good side, and he's helping out. I think he's involved with President Trump, and he's going to reveal. So because we've had so much reveal from Epstein, that has allowed this to come forward, and more is going to come. So we're just touching the surface of this stuff with the Epstein files, and then the disclosure files will be another thing, and then the disclosure of the religion and politics and so forth. All these things are going to collapse.
Yeah, and of what they choose to tell you this time around, and whether you're going to fall for those secrets. In other words, how deep does it go, and where are you going to stop? Or where are you going to demand more and demand that everything be outed, okay? Why are humans lying to each other? We're supposed to be humanity. We're supposed to be, in fact, if you want to say, one race of beings called humanity, okay? And we lie to each other and serve the masters against each other. Why are we doing that? That is insane if you think about it. Why do our military let the secrecy continue while children are dying every day? They're being manipulated. They're being, destroyed, etc. You know what I'm saying? These people are guilty. You understand? That's also why they keep silent. They don't want to die. They have their own families, have their own egos. But when they find out that sooner or later those little children are growing up and they're going to mirror their parents, okay, unless they have the guts to turn against the secrecy. It's a wall. It's a deep, deep well of secrecy.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that about the human species, and this is what bothers me as much as anything else. You said we lie to each other, and that's something I just don't understand. And I had this with my ex-wife, who was sitting at a kitchen table, and her teenage daughters. One of them didn't want to go out with her friends for whatever reason. She said, "Mom says, well, just tell them this, just say this." And I looked over, I said, why don't you just tell her the truth? You don't want to go. Why make up a lie? Here's this woman teaching her kids to lie. But I see this in everyday life. And if there's one thing I pride myself on, is I never do that. I don't care if it pisses people off. Here's the truth. Here's the facts. And even, if I didn't want to go with somebody to do something, I'm just really not in the mood, I don't feel like it. People make up a ridiculous lie because they don't want to go do something with somebody. If we as a human species made that unacceptable, it changes the vibrational response of the whole planet. Everybody just tell the truth, whether people like it or not. Simple things. But you're right. People lie to each other every day, and I've never been able to compute that. Like, why? Lack of courage? You can't just be you and stand in your power, like Laura says. If we could change that one thing, it leads to, as I've said a number of times, I want to see our species while I'm alive, I know it's a big stretch, to where one human killing another is so foreign to us that it shocks the whole planet. That's why we can't get off this planet, because we can't stop killing each other. You got to start somewhere. Simple things, just like telling the truth, period. And that's the biggest bane of my existence, is why people just can't say what the truth is, and they make up some other reason.
Let's start with Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. We can stop that.
The bottom line is a lie is a crime against humanity. Do you understand that? I'm going to say this again. A lie is a crime against humanity. Even the good guys are still lying, okay? They're going to have to come clean. It is a crime. Why is a lie a crime? Why would Jesus say the truth would set you free? Because when you lie to somebody, they are then unprotected, unprepared, and deceived from that moment on. That's like, you might as well kill them. Do you understand? Because they're going to be prey to something eventually. When you lie to your children, you are putting them in grave danger. And that was true even before the Epstein files ever came out, okay? So understanding this, if parents would understand, if they lie to their children, they're not doing them a favor. They're putting their lives in danger.
Absolutely. I mean, think about, kids that tell their parents or tell their teachers, I'm being molested, I'm being messed with, and how much it's just, no, that didn't happen. They have a false memory syndrome, satanic panic. Now that's all falling away, but it's unbelievable because there's not just lies, there's also dismissing the truth coming from children that are trying to say what's going on, and just this denial has been unbelievable.
I'll just jump in and say what you said earlier, Scott, about the Vatican and religion trying to control the narrative. That's what it's all about. And all sides are trying to control this disclosure narrative because they all have an agenda. Because what would happen to organized religion if we all realize that we're not the most intelligent species in the universe? Not even a close by far. And so a lot of institutions are going to collapse with disclosure. And I would propose that's one of the reasons why they've had to keep this all bottled up for so long. I mean, look what happened to the petroleum and energy industry. Once we asked the first question, how did they get here? Well, they sure weren't coming on rockets developed by Werner von Braun. They're coming here with zero-point energy and free energy devices, and that would totally destroy the petrochemical industry. So
they know it's going to happen, okay? And I have a disclosure witness who is very high up on the financial chain, and he said they're paying them eventually to go away. They're all also going to incorporate, what are the data centers? What do you think those are? They're not using Tesla tech, or when they are, they don't tell you. So the lie is different at every level, as Hoagland said a long time ago, and someone said that to him. So the fact of the matter is you have to dig even deeper, because we have answers. We have solutions. In fact, we have so many solutions to every single thing. Every institution that goes down, another one can rise up that can protect children, that can really educate children, instead of lie to them, 24/7. I mean, so thank God, get rid of the fucking, institutions. Please do. Yes, people are going to suffer because of the truth, but they've been suffering from lies their whole existence.
We already have zero-point energy. LA's, running off of zero-point energy because Hoover Dam is no longer functional. There's no water pouring through there. The turbines are shut down.
Yeah, but they got solar.
The airplanes are using free energy.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be, and that is coming out. There's teaching it at schools now, university. I mean, it's becoming something again. I mean, everything is, really falling away. We have to understand that we've been a huge prize to, negative aliens. We have advanced DNA, 12-strand and beyond, that has been tinkered with and messed with and made to look like they came in and they advanced us. Anunnaki came in and advanced us, or these are like foster parents that have kept us from our true origins, and the masculine-feminine polarity integration that is required to happen in our DNA for the fences and seals to fall away for us to reclaim that Christos Sophia that's tied into the planetary grids, the original crystalline grids and the dragon energy that are in stasis waiting for us to wake up. And we have very advanced DNA as a thing, and that's a currency that they've wanted to use and dumb us down and keep us in amnesia and invulnerability and exploit everything that has elicited fear in us when any disease or adversity is an opportunity. They've weaponized it so that we're on pharmaceuticals, that we give that power away. Somebody else is going to save us, like Scott was talking about, and we're all talking about, when it's literally the soul is saying, I'm going to create pain and dysfunction so that you can find yourself again. Not so you can give that power away and give your money away to somebody else that's going to steer your path. And that's what on a micro level has been happening, and it's no different than the micro to macro connection is profound.
Right. I just want to make sure, I don't know how long we've been going. but we can continue. I want to make sure that we, let me see if I can see if there's any questions in the chat. We do have a chat, I think, we're on YouTube. So I think there's a chat room if I can see it here. Top chat. I don't know.
Kerry, I was looking, my assistant sent me this earlier. Didn't think you were streaming because people on Telegram were wondering where the show is.
Yeah, I heard that too.
You're kidding.
No, I got a message too saying they can't find the stream.
Well, you go to YouTube. I have the link on my Telegram, and I put it on, actually I put it on X, I put it on Facebook. It's a link to my YouTube channel. This is a recovered YouTube channel. I hope it's on the right one. What happened is, I was deleted during COVID, overnight, 70 million viewers worldwide. Lost those channels, lost several channels, tried it again and again, didn't work. Then they gave me back some of them, never gave me back my real one, okay? But they gave me these pieces. So this is a YouTube channel they recovered recently. I put the link in there. You should be on live. If you can't, if you go to the YouTube channel, you don't go to live, then you're not seeing it. Now, maybe I gave the wrong link because I have several remnants, and this maybe, it's very difficult to, looks like instead of going to the one I was supposed to go to, it might have gone to the other one. Oh, well, this will be shown after this. Yeah, I see we have a chat room, so some people have found it somehow. Let me see if I can, wouldn't it just be this link? I'll put this out there. Also, if you can share it with friends, people that want to be watching live. I mean, I don't know. Sorry about this, but, this is what happens with my...
We're all here. Doesn't matter.
Sorry?
We're still all here, so...
Yeah, I mean, this is going to go, out there, and I'll post it everywhere. Okay, so, and you guys can post it as well, as I say, I said that. Hold on a second. Let me go to Telegram is... So
it's not even on your live YouTube right now, Kerry.
Well, okay, I just grabbed the link from this page, and so that's got to be correct. It should be right. It actually says it's Roundtable on Disclosure. It's got the right, yeah. It says we've got 42 people watching. They're watching, us. They're actually in the chat here. So I don't know what has happened or what people,
Which channel?
took away.
I'm looking at Kerry Cassidy. It's not on that one.
I have several. As I said, I just put the link in the chat. You guys can see the chat.
Well, we'll all repost it, right? I mean, it's
yeah. So I mean, I people like to watch live, and I appreciate that. If the 42 people that are watching live, because that's a very small number, I'll go over to X and link it again over there. I just linked it on my Telegram again, so you can go to my Telegram if you go to my projecthemlockportal.com and you click on the Telegram link, then you go to Telegram. My most recent Telegram will have a link here. I'll just do x.com right now.
Yeah, it's live. I see it now.
Okay, so
I'll share it so we get it out there.
It just went live or what?
All right, start over.
Take it from the top, Nino.
Okay, I just added it to X. You guys have channels as well. You can put the link. It's here. Can you see the link? All you do is go to the top of the window. Well, maybe you don't see the window. I don't know. You guys are in Zoom, so let me see how I can get to the Zoom.
Is it cool if David asks a question while you were doing that?
Yeah.
I just want to know everyone's thoughts on, it seemed like there was going to be certain personalities out there that were going to be part of the disclosure. I guess I can say Stephen Greer. And I want to get everyone's opinion on that. I've never known how to really feel about him. I think he's very intelligent. He's very well educated on this matter. But now it seems like he's trying to get back in there. He wants to, help Trump with the disclosure. I just want to get everyone's thoughts on Stephen Greer. I don't know what to think about this individual.
Well, it was Greer that kind of opened the window for me back in probably 2014, 2015. So I've always had an affinity for him. But as Kerry pointed out to me over time, there's some things that obviously, believing that there is no malevolent non-terrestrials is kind of folly. I mean, our history is based on that. Again, I won't read his mind, but he did a great service to me. But at the same time, you can't really make that proclamation that these people are all benevolent. These creatures are all benevolent. We know they're not. So I kind of sit aside and wait for it to emerge.
You understand what that does. And I made a big thing of this. I wrote an article about it as well. I actually came out and said, something about him, which is true. But, as a psychic intuitive, I get what I get. It's not because I want to hurt someone's feelings, but I've been fighting with that guy in Camelot, even, going back to Barcelona, when he sat down and decided he wanted us to interview him. He just sat down in the chair and just goes, "I'm ready for my interview." I said, "I don't want to interview you." I did not want to interview that guy. He lied on, stage when Henry Deacon came on stage and said he'd been working on Mars. He basically intimidated him, not sure how. The guy got scared to death. The thing is that Stephen Greer has been lying, but I actually think that he's programmed. I say he's dumb, but he's dumb because he's programmed. He doesn't seem to realize how he's putting humanity in danger. He doesn't realize the connection between the reptilians' way of life and adrenochrome, the adrenochrome highway that we're witnessing, and the children being stolen and eaten and blood sacrifice. He doesn't understand that connection. Lots of people don't. He's not that rare, okay? It's just that if you haven't studied this, you just don't understand. This planet was ruled by reptilians at one point, okay? We were ruled by reptilians. It's on the churches. Why do you think you see gargoyles and all these kinds of, snakes everywhere? And it's everywhere. In every church you ever go into, they show you that shit. Okay? So it's just that he doesn't get it. When you lie to people, you, again, leave them defenseless.
Well, hold on, Kerry. Does he just not get it, or do you think he was going to be part of the deep state disclosure?
No, he's been lying since before beyond 20 years, okay? He's been lying to the public. He's been lying steadily. He believes firmly that they're all good. He thinks if you have technology, that you have spirituality. That's not true, okay? His basic premises, I'm just saying, if you analyze them, are completely false, okay? You can have all the technology in the world and be a super race of aliens coming and going from this galaxy to many others and have no spirituality at all, okay? You could be a death cult out there. AI is considered a kind of a death cult, a version of AI. So you can think whatever you want. If you want to follow him, go right ahead. I am simply telling you the facts. If you take his statements saying all aliens are good, first of all, it goes against as above, so below. It's fucking so false that it's insane. But beyond that, when you think that you're educating governments and governments let you think that, I'm sorry, his ego is so
is he
large.
three-letter agency? Is he deep state? And that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, he works for the CIA, but he's dark. The CIA is one of the biggest organizations that's, run by aliens, etc., and has dark and light and everything. This is just, these are the people that lie to us. They're dark people on the secret space program, underground, running that program, using children, using the adrenochrome, using the money from sex trafficking to build spaceships, etc. It's so intertwined. That's the thing. This is what has to be outed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when Kerry had Bill Broadbreaker come on, and I validated some of his testimony, my life was destroyed. So I was working with the CIA. CIA destroyed my life and tried to kill me. So that's a good indication that, the CIA is controlling a lot of this narrative.
Kerry, I did read your article, and you said the other side of Greer is maybe he's mind controlled.
Yeah, he is mind controlled. It's not the other side of Greer. He's definitely mind controlled. But evil people are mind controlled, just like so-called good ones. But a lot of the really, bad people out there are super mind controlled. They just never climbed out of the box. And some stayed there out of choice because they like it.
I just want to
Greer a couple times. I thought he was a personable guy. And like you, Scott, he kind of got me into the whole disclosure thing. He knows a lot of people in the military-industrial complex. And the last time I talked to him at Billy Carson's award ceremony 2 summers ago, I asked him face-to-face, I go, what percent of ships that people are seeing around the world are ours or theirs? And he said 80-20. 80% are ours. So
Do you think he knows anything? I mean, I'm sorry, he is lying. He doesn't know any better.
Level, though.
Yeah, but I just want to add, there's so much compartmentalism. There's so much that only is known.
Just because he believes he knows the truth doesn't mean he
this
does.
is the thing. This is what disclosure has to be. We're knocking down the doors of compartmentalism and we're connecting the dots. So as long as he's open, the best sign for anybody is, are you open to somebody else's opinion? Are you trying to steer a narrative? And is anybody who disagrees with you somebody that you ban or delete?
Why don't you ask the military white hats that are going down into the underground caves and tunnels where the reptilians are guarding their human prey and all the children, and then go listen to Greer say that there are no bad aliens. No, I'm serious.
No, well, that's why
It's not subject to discussion even.
Yes, I know. Well,
real. There are bad and good aliens.
Yes,
that's all he had to say, but he doesn't.
No, I know. That's why I don't follow him. And when I see just that whole statement, I mean, my gosh, we've been exposing negative alien agenda for a really, really long time. But this is where our discernment has to come in. It's like there's compartmentalism. There are people that are mind controlled. Whatever it all is, it's like we can take what resonates and leave the rest. So I don't want to say anything about him except I know the Mars recruiters were groomed to think that they were saving the human race and this was what they had to do. They were convinced that this was right. Now, after the 1950s, abductions began to become more about the MILABs, more about the military abductions, and this total deep state takeover. The Greys even started to phase out.
Bullshit. Take a look at the gray human hybrids in south of the border.
The bases have been cleared and
phase out.
Reptilian presence, because I don't go along with that. I haven't followed him, but I'm just saying, let's just take what resonates and leave the rest when it comes to everybody. As long as the conversation can be open and respectful and somebody's not trying to steer a narrative that's dangerous, like you're saying, then there's room to take the little tidbits of nuggets of something that he's able to expose that I don't think. I just wanted to say that. It's like, I don't know how anybody can deny that there's not negative aliens, though, so I absolutely agree. I'm just saying that the military takeover in the deep state has literally, the interplanetary corporate conglomerate, the military-industrial complex, is mostly the humans, the cartels, and basically they have to be bankrupt in order for, all this to change. And it became a lot more about what we sold to the ETs back in 1929, not the Greada Treaty in 1954, that allowed the deep state this level of control, and the Nazi faction, the Jaco faction, is just, a part of that influence. They just want things shipped off to them, though, or to feed on an underground bases. The human population part of it is very different. But anyway, I agree with you. But at the same time, I don't think he's trying to steer a narrative that cuts off the conversation from other people, but that's just my 2 cents. But I agree with you. I'm just saying,
I mean,
look at the Galactic Federation emissary.
No, if children are not protected because humans believe
why is anybody listening to one person? Then that's the rule.
It's important. He wants to grandstand. He wants to be in the center.
Well, nobody's going to allow that. Like, shut up then.
No, I'm just saying that's what he wants, and he has been pushing this narrative. I have seen him lie at Barcelona to a whole 1,500 people and say all aliens are good. When you say that, Okay, when children are being abducted daily and killed and maimed and used for adrenochrome, do you know that not guns, not anything else, but human trafficking is the biggest crime on our planet
Of course
right
it is, but I
now.
think he's trying to say that it's more the humans than the ETs, and that's just an opinion. Nobody should listen to one person and allow one narrative. I'm just saying, nobody should give him that much power. It's the people got to quit it. It's like he should not be the person.
You have to face the facts. You have to look at history. Okay, and if you look deeply into the worship of Baal, this is the trouble, is that people are not willing to go far enough to see where back in history did it start, who was running it. I went to Göbekli Tepe. Another journalist also did it. What they found in Göbekli Tepe, which goes back to the days of the pyramids and the Sphinx, they found babies' skulls, hundreds of thousands, all buried in those places that were supposed to be spiritual.
Yeah, I've been aware of this. I'm not excusing him at all. I'm just saying people should not give their power away to one person when it comes to disclosure.
It's nothing to do with giving your power. Getting the truth is not giving your power away.
Victims and experiencers and contactees and abductees and victims have been speaking out. Anybody who is going to actually believe that there's no negative alien agendas and leaves it to that is just putting their head in the sand. And no, it's not okay. It's not okay. But compartmentalism, we have to crush those walls, is all I'm saying.
I'm just saying, one person who tries to sort of own the narrative and misleads himself endlessly is a danger to society. And he's actually, I'm sorry, he's putting children especially and their parents in danger every day that he says that. I'm sorry. It's just a fact. If somebody, if you see a child run out in the middle of the street and you know a car is coming and you say nothing, are you guilty? Are you innocent?
That's why we speak on this subject and we say what the truth is. We're not going to just,
Laura, we are in complete agreement. No problem.
Yeah. I mean, that's hopefully your voice and our voices will get louder.
I hope that we as a society can realize that, the truth begins with children. Our planet is not going to survive if we keep letting them eat our children, and destroy them before they even grow to adulthood. This is one of the bottom lines where you just take everything down to the simplest explanation. Why the White Hats and Trump, when he got in office, he signed this executive order to stop anyone from any pedophile, to take away their worldly goods if they were convicted of being pedophiles. He turned Epstein in. That's actually true, back in Florida when he first was arrested. He was part of that. It hasn't come out enough, I don't think. Maybe we can move on to a little bit different topic.
How about the positive effects of disclosure, the high tech? So if America is going to be the one that's disclosing, America can come out with a high tech, and that's going to propel us into greatness, like Trump always talks about. Make America great again is definitely going to happen if he starts to, disclose the high tech stuff. And the only way you can do that is like we're all talking about. You have to take down the negative side, because they'll continually come in and either steal it from us again or, sabotage it.
Really good point, Michael. And I think this is what disclosure is all about, is this kind of technology that is going to absolutely change the world and the human race. I mean, this is our Star Trek future we're talking about. And by many accounts, we're already there. We already have that technology to be the USS Enterprise going to unknown planets, exploring around. But it's been all held up. It's been bottlenecked to the point where it won't be released because there's so many different interests involved that want to keep it secret. So if Trump even mentions extraterrestrials or UFOs tonight at the State of the Union, I would say that is a huge step in the right direction, because no president's ever publicly said it before.
Good point.
I mean, that would
remember
all institutions, all religious establishments overnight. It'd be done.
Yeah.
I remember as a 5-year-old 60 years ago, looking at the Jetsons cartoons and going, "Oh, that's coming soon," and looking at Star Trek, I'm like, "This is the way the future is going to be," and we haven't seen a touch of that.
Oh, well, hold on. We got driverless cars. I thought we'd have flying.
the
And
robots.
remember, well, he had the flip phone. Now we don't have the flip phone, so we've actually advanced in some areas. Right?
I'm kind of like amazed that there's no flying cars yet, dude. To be honest,
I thought it would be like a cover of a Yes album. I'm like these floating cities and just like
Exactly.
these really cool. I mean, it's so
Like they have in Venus. Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, if you smoke the right stuff, you can get all that.
absolutely.
Crazy phones on her wrist now too, so some of it's coming true.
Well, we're the most advanced technology, so regardless of what happens over here, life gives us everything we need to, switch on what's been dormant and collapse the control systems by refusing to consent. And like you're doing, Kerry, on this subject, and all of you are, you call out what needs to be called out. And the thing is, the more we understand without it falling into the divide and conquer, the more we can actually help people. And healing centers can actually have deprogramming centers, people that working directly with SRA victims, because if they can mind control a person to become an assassin that was once benevolent, they can turn a criminal and begin to activate parts of the brain that can actually make them loving again. I feel major rehabilitation instead of this inhumane treatment of people that are struggling with trauma and this denial.
Except when it comes to children. You heard children. I don't think there's any rehabilitation.
Yes, but the children that are hurting children, or the people that are hurting children, were abused and tortured and mind controlled when they were children. So I'm just saying that when you can really start to rehabilitate and catch them when they're young, so they don't end up, we have voice to skull to begin to work with as well. People that are being activated by their phones in class, people that have been abducted or planted some kind of chip or some sort of voice to skull. I'm just saying the more we're aware of this, the more we'll be able to handle these, particular cases and understand, is that an altar that did this, or is this a legitimate evil person? I mean, we have the technology to de-weaponize it to actually support humanity's healing process. I just wanted to add that. But yes, absolutely agree, David.
Med beds, super advanced. We saw it on Star Trek. All these different things are going to be, unbelievably powerful. And I think that's what's going to be one of the keys. But again, we have to destroy the deep state. We have to destroy the reptilian agenda. We have to destroy. How that gets destroyed, is it by disclosure? That's a step in the right direction. Of course, they're not going to give it up. There's going to have to be some kind of physical kinetic activity that shuts all that down. Do we have?
Yeah, I think
support? Do we have support on that?
That's a topic that we could touch on here if you're interested, which is, what does payback look like? What do these tribunals look like? How much of the so-called arrests are we even going to know about? How many dead people are walking around as clones? This is part of the operation. When you engender sort of doing things for the positive, the negative is awakened as well. Okay, to come in and to do its darndest to take you down and to take the situation down. So when you say you're going to eliminate the dark side, you're going to take down the deep state, how long do you think it's going to stay down, first of all? And do you really understand what you're talking about? Because the bottom line is, this is, at least this sector, this 3D going into 4D, which are much more 4D now, and then eventually above and so on, there is light and dark. There is dark, okay? And the dark will continue. It's not going to be a golden age and all that nonsense. You might think it is because you live in a good place, but there will be evil and it will continue in certain pockets. All I'm saying is, what do you think? Because, sometimes I hear this narrative going around that say, well, we're going to kill them all. You can't kill them all, as someone was saying. They all, like Laura was saying, that they all have children, and those children are being tortured right here, right now, and taught how to torture others. That's what goes on in those private schools, or what they call public, but they're private in England, okay? I have a close friend who grew up in that world, all right? He got out of it as quickly as he could as a kid because they were teaching them to torture other children. Children are taught to torture children. That's what goes on. And animals and other things, so this kind of thing, you cannot, it's very difficult to think that you can actually, figure out where is the evil. And if you take a bloodline, let's say, and you roll it back to the one person who started the bloodline, like the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, these are evil going back generation after generation, preserving the evil, okay?
I mean, we'll never eliminate evil, but we can make the punishment severe.
Right. And
Another
become
planet,
aware.
other galaxies too.
And throwing light on something is how the truth shall set you free, putting the truth out, getting the truth out.
Have you ever seen, though, any stories about an SRA ritual being raided, and having these things actually shut down? Or it's just unbelievable to me that, these things, still go on. I mean, I think it has to start in our early educational system. It's sort of like, unwanted pregnancies. Okay, well, ban abortion or keep abortion. It's like we have to get to the root of why this even happens. We have to educate our children, protect our children, so that the highest integrity, the deepest connection to the sacredness of it all is nurtured. Way more protection to nip these things, in the bud, to know, who's connected to what families, and are they being passed around? Are they a part of a ring? Are they being groomed? I mean, we just have to have our eyes wide open and begin to shut down these operations. Because it's, like you said, trauma-based mind control, generation after generation, is to literally keep this evil alive. But they are disassociated. They're running altars. They are, programmed to be sex slaves, assassins, or drug runners. I mean, they're not in possession of themselves. And that's a huge part of society. And then the offshoots are voice to skull, or just the social engineering. So all this dark tech has to be broken down through awareness. And then I think the evil players, the ones that don't care to wake up and change, those will be the ones, super punished. Because a lot of the people coming forward have done horrific crimes, but they awoken to their mind control. And we're much more forgiving because they want to break out of it. We're not holding them to those crimes that they don't remember. But the ones that keep doing it and don't care to wake up and don't care to change, those are the ones that really deserve anyway.
Well, I think
I've talked to guys that were basically, had talked to guys that were down in the tunnels, and they said, and I heard this long ago, I was like, it stunned me, but now it makes more sense, all of our conversations, that meat hooks were at the child level. So they were actually carving up children down at children were carving up other children. And like Laura was talking about, they're taught this at a very young age. So you have people like that running around. That's part of their culture. That's part of what they do. And they hide that from us. We can talk about, we're going to have truth from now on, but they're not going to have truth from now on. They're going to keep this stuff from us until they're all either deprogrammed or, gone. And I know how that works, but it has to happen.
I hate to admit it, but I'm still holding out hope for killing them all.
I think at least the ones that hurt children,
Those are the ones I'm talking about.
I think those are the ones that are taken away, yeah.
They're coming back.
Yeah.
They don't get a choice.
Okay, fine. Epstein's still alive. Let's say he's helping, Trump expose the bad guys. You want to kill him?
No.
He's guilty of all the things we know he's guilty of. You know what I mean? In other words, he didn't suddenly turn into a good guy. He's doing that to save his ass. Same with Ghislaine and all the rest of these people.
I'm wearing my cross today. I believe in forgiveness. We'll forgive you, Jeffrey, if you help us kill all of them. That's kind of where I am. Yeah.
But doesn't that bring us down to their level?
How about a different Epstein island where it's a prison island and it's for all of them? Like here's a different form of an island, guys. And anyway.
Okay, we don't have to kill them. We don't have to kill them all. Let's give them a sentence. The sentence is they get a sentence in prison. Let's say 3 years. We throw them in a prison in a cell with a gorilla on crack and Viagra. Just every day, give him his dose. That works for me.
And
at least make it like a reality show.
Yeah, exactly. Give him a dose. Give them a dose. So
make them our entertainment.
Right. Well, they did the hunting party.
So you become as bad as them. Be careful here. Okay, so this is serious. I know you're making jokes, but like the reality is you don't want to become them, do you? Okay? And some of these perpetrators, it does appear in this life they are not recoverable, okay? And we're going to deal with that as well. I mean, part of the problem with the white hats that are not talking about who have they killed and who haven't they executed with a trial, blah, blah, blah. I know certain people who swear up and down Hillary is dead. This is a clone, okay? So, you know, you can choose what you want to believe, but she's not the only one, okay? And all the ones that we think might have been killed, maybe they're shipped off planet. Maybe they're at some colony somewhere. They haven't changed their ways. Maybe they're all on a colony together. Who the fuck knows, you know?
Well, if we are moving into a Star Trek future, the most humane way to deal with it is a truth and reconciliation panel like they did at South Africa. Because a lot of these guys, take Bill Gates, for example, he's a sociopath. He's very concerned about his image. So if he were put on a very public trial and just thrown in prison, throw away the key, that would be so humiliating to a person like that. I think that would be even worse than the death penalty.
Yeah, because it lets them know throughout history their name will reverberate through time like they made Hitler's reverberate through time.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes killing somebody is actually an act of mercy.
Yeah,
I just want to say it might be the more pleasant alternative.
For some of them.
Just saying, if you know that we're eternal souls, and in theory, some of those darksiders are eternal souls as well. You know, people spend time on the dark, they have a recovery, whatever they do, and they come back and work on the light. I mean,
I think
this is reality.
Well, they're going to be recycled into the central sun if they don't figure it out. If some are seeking amnesty, some are going to allow for the deprogramming, but I feel some of the solar activity, Schumann resonance, and the shift that's going on the planet will force some of them to literally disintegrate into the central sun. Should we be the ones? Are we speaking on behalf of God when we say we have the right to off them? That's a good question, you know? But I think nature is going to it'll metabolize it. We've been cut off. We've been in this net, in this reversal grid energy. Now that that's dissolving, I feel cosmic and natural law can run its course. Whereas before, there was really no karma for these people. So I don't know.
Well, remember also in one of the Q posts, they will not be able to walk the streets safely. Mm-hmm. And
Marina,
that's already starting to happen.
Out. They're all freaking out. Fauci.
They are. Big time. Yeah. Fauci has to have 24/7 guards now anywhere he goes.
And well, he should.
As well he should. A lot of people.
And then look at the ambush journalism happening with Deepak Chopra. These celebrities are moving out of the country. They're going to France, UK, but they're still not going to be able to go anywhere. They're going to be hated just as much there.
Yeah.
Right.
There's going to be nowhere to go. Nowhere.
That's why they want to go off planet. It's not the only safe place they could probably envision. And they think that's cut off now, too.
I mean, there's no easier way to show that you're guilty than by like, hey, I'm taking off to France. I'm going to UK. I'm done with the United States.
Sure.
Everyone knows you're guilty.
Yeah, or Angelina Jolie doesn't like living here anymore. Why not? Because we don't want her to be, Trump. Killing things and drinking blood anymore. I mean, listen, the thing is, I would like to change the subject a little bit and say that maybe before we end this, that we could talk about maybe your thoughts. Each one would go around the circle and have everyone say what they think, hypothetically, Trump might actually reveal. How deep do you think this is going to go? Will it be cosmetic? Will it be, will there be a lot of lies in there? Anyone want to start?
I have to go, so I'll just say real quick. I feel this has opened the door for this conversation. I feel what everybody shared is completely just a part of all of it from the very beginning. That just the fact that he just uttered those words, is enough for so much to be revealed. I feel the files won't necessarily be the 30 levels of top secret above president, won't necessarily be the full shebang of disclosure. I feel if the white hats are able to access that, or there are access points, and he's demanding that those files be released, then that's going to be the final straw for the NSA and the national security protection of all this information to finally, fall to the wayside. How much it's going to be revealed or a slow drip, I think is what we're going to be dealing with. I see a dissolution and a slow drip, but also voices that will come forward that will point out maybe some of the doors and what's behind them that have not been accessed. And again, I feel like this is a global event. I feel disclosure is from many, many voices, and whatever happens, if it doesn't resonate, that besides some people wanting to be a part of the disclosure and talk to Trump about it, that maybe we'll do some more group attempts to work with that administration so that we act more as a team instead of government talking to the people. Now the people are rising up because we are the powers that be, not them.
Okay, well said. All right, thank you, Laura. She's already gone.
I gotta jump too.
All right.
So go next.
Thanks for having me. Love you guys.
Yeah, love you. Thank you.
I think this is going to be a controlled disclosure. I think this is going to happen in stages and phases. He's a businessman first. He's not, and if he comes out and says it all, free energy, the whole thing, boom, all institutions, the whole economy goes to shit, goes to hell in a handbag. And I think it's going to happen in stages. He's going to be the first one to break the ice, and he'll get credit for that. But I don't think you can just pull the plug on the economy. And I think, or all the organizations, or the structure, the entire structure, the institutions. I think this is going to happen in phases. He's going to be the first one to break the ice.
Thank you, Nino. Nino, thank you very much for being here.
You got it. Love you guys. Y'all take it easy.
Thanks, Steve.
Well, I think that I've looked at so many of these things that were on deck for something, and everybody's loading up for it, and it turns out to be a nothing burger. So I kind of think that the State of the Union may be the same thing. It's a nothing burger for us, but if he brings up something like that, it may be just another way to keep eyes on and watch who does what once he makes from the dark side. What are they doing once he makes this announcement? Like he's come out with some type of disclosure of this sort. I've just seen the patterns so many times. Like everybody's all waiting, and whatever it is, it happens. Like that was a nothing burger. I'm kind of thinking could be the same thing, but like some hidden comms to for the other side to start making moves and smoking them out and kind of observing what they're doing to figure out what. But again, that's just my assessment. We'll see. I'm looking if it's continuity, that's what we're gonna get. If not, if there's really some big cataclysmic thing, then I'll be wrong. I'm good with either.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I think we can see probably the pattern that will happen if he does reveal tonight. He's just going to basically reveal that, yes, we do have not back engineer, but we do have lots of, ET involvement. We've seen it. We've had crashes. We got the bodies. Maybe that's where it stops. And then the next one will be the back engineering stuff, and then the secret space program. So it'll be a progressive type thing. I think it's pretty easy to see how this is going to progress.
Okay. Brad? Thank you, Michael, for being here.
I agree with Michael and Scott. It's going to come out in stages. Eric Trump's wife has said that he's already prepared a full-length speech. I don't think we're going to get that tonight, but we're probably going to get a couple drips. I would be really interested to see if he even says the word UFO, UAP, or extraterrestrials in this speech. But look, his polling numbers are at a historic low. He needs a boost. And he is just beleaguered with the Epstein files. So what is the only subject that could possibly trump the Epstein files and get everybody talking about something else? That could be disclosure. So I think he's going to open the door to it, but probably not drop any big bombs just yet. But probably start prepping us for this narrative.
Fair enough. So I'll just put my 10 cents in. I'd be skeptical that he would even say anything tonight. I don't think he's probably going to talk about other things completely, as far as I know, but he might allude to the fact that he's got people investigating. You know how they had Luna investigating the Epstein files for a real long time, and and Pam Bondi and all that. So the investigation went on for months and months before anybody said anything worthwhile. So I do think that we're going to go through that syndrome, and then they said July 8th, and then they said July 24th. We'll see if it gets pushed back. We'll also see if there's something that intervenes in this time of great upheaval and change. What will stop disclosure? Because some outside, whether it's the dark side, the aliens, one alien group over another, who the fuck knows? Because it's a very hot potato, so to speak. And then the Vatican, they didn't get to weigh in yet. Good. I mean, but, that's a fact. So I think that there's a lot of behind the scenes, there is a war going on, and it's a push me, pull you kind of thing. And I think, unfortunately, for what it's worth, the White Hats will change their tune the minute they need to do something else, to sidetrack something else, or something is advantageous. So I wouldn't hold my breath, but at least he's already said it. I think that was a good statement to say that. Just saying it, just have a president just saying, we're investigating this, is a good step in the right direction, okay? And that's setting a date for some kind of disclosure. But I certainly don't think they're going to go where I go. But I hope that my addition, when they open the door, is going to make more and more people, and all your additions, that for that matter, all of us, all the work we do every day. We all do this every day, right? We're all putting out the truth every single day.
And last thing, Kerry, we got to mention the New York Awakening Conference.
Oh, right.
So,
Okay.
that'll be
Yeah.
that. And we're going to be unleashing some truth there, too.
Exactly. And that's happening on Long Island, New York, in